All right, today we're going to be working on lesson 7.3 in our workbooks, and this is fraction and whole number multiplication, which is kind of the same thing you did in lesson 7.2. We're finding a fraction of a whole. So we're multiplying a whole number by a fraction to find that amount. If we look at page 433, the first problem, Charlene has 5 1-pound bags of sand, each a different color. For an art project, she will use 3/8 of a pound of each bag of sand to create a colorful sand art jar. How much sand will be in Charlene's sand art jar? Okay, so if we do our cubes, we circle 5. That's how many bags she has. 1 pound. Okay, and she will use 3/8. We underline what we need to know or what we're trying to find out, how much sand will be in Charlene's art jar. And then we box in any key number or key words or action words, which is use. Okay. And she is creating, so she's adding together. Okay. That's how much she's using. All right, so if we look at our questions over here, how much sand is in each bag? In each bag, there is 1 pound of sand, okay? And will Charlene use all of the sand in each bag? No, she will use a fraction of each bag. She's only using 3/8 of each bag, okay? So we're going to multiply a fraction by a whole number. We're going to shade the model to show 5 groups of 3/8. So we're going to show 5 bags, and we're going to show using the 3/8. So we're shading what is being used. So it's going to be 5 times, and there's 8 sections, and 3 are shaded. So 5 times 3/8. So here's our 5 bags, and we're going to shade 3 out of the 8 for each bag. Okay. Now it wants us to rearrange the shaded pieces to fill as many holes as possible. So to fill as many whole bags, so we're going to draw another bag, some more bags down here to represent full bags. And we need to shade 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Okay. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so we filled up a whole bag and then 7/8 of another bag. So if we took all these parts and filled up bags, we would have 1 7/8 bag. Okay, so there are blank pounds of sand in Charlene's art jar. Well, over here we're going to write an expression to represent the problem. 5 times 3/8. I need to find 5 groups of 3/8 size pieces. Here's our 5 groups of 3/8. So we're going to multiply 5 and 3/8. Remember, any whole number is as a fraction, and you put it over top of 1. Okay, so it would just be 5 times 3 over 8, which is 15/8, which is an improper fraction. We're going to write the answer as a mixed number in simplest form. Improper fractions, to write as a mixed number, you divide your numerator by denominator. So 15 divided by 8 is going to be 1. Let's do it down here. 15/8, so it's going to be 1. And then if we subtract 8 from 15, we get 7, so it's 1 7/8. So there are 1 7/8 pounds of sand in Charlene's sand art jar. Okay. Let's go to page 434. Multiply a whole number by a fraction. Kristen brought in 4 loaves of sliced bread to make sandwiches for the class picnic. Her classmates used 2/3 of the bread. how many loaves of bread were used? So we want to shade the model to show 2/3 of 4. So 4 loaves, okay, the 4 loaves used 2/3. How many loaves of bread were used? So we're going to shade it to show 2/3 of 4. You can cut the loaves into thirds and show 2/3 of them being used. So we're going to cut each loaf into 3 sections or thirds. Each section is going to represent 1/3, and then they used 2/3 of the bread. How many loaves of bread were used? Okay, so we're going to shade 2/3 of each loaf. We're going to rearrange the shaded pieces to fill as many holes as possible. So again, we need to cut into thirds, divide into thirds, and we need to fill up, we need to shade in 2, 4, 6, 8 slices. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so there are 2 and 2/3. Okay, 2 and 2/3 of the loaves of bread were used. All right, so we're going to write this as an expression to represent the problems. 2/3 times 4. I need to find 2/3 of 4 whole loaves of bread. Multiply 4 by the number of third-sized pieces in each hole, then write the answer as the total number of third-sized pieces. So it's 2/3 times 4. Remember, 4 is over top of 1, so it's just 3 times 1 is 3, and 2 times 4 is 8. 8/3, improper fraction, so we divide 8 by 3, which is 2. That's 6. And we have a remainder of 2. Remember, your remainder always goes over top of your divisor. So 2 and 2/3. And they do match. So 2 and 2/3 loaves were used. Would we have had the same would we have the same amount of bread if we had 4 groups of 2/3 of a loaf? So 4 groups of 2/3. Yes, we would have the same amount because 4 groups of 2/3 is the same as 2/3 of 4. Just like 5 times 4 is the same as 4 times 5. 2/3 of 4 is the same as 4 groups of 2/3. All right, so simpler way without drawing the pictures, we're multiplying a whole number by a fraction. Remember, we put our whole number over top of 1 and then multiply straight across. 4 times 7 is 28. 1 times 8 is 8. Improper fraction because it wants us to write in simplest form. 28 divided by 8, it's going to be 3. 3 and 4/8. And 4 is half of 8, so that's the same as 3 1/2. All right, 5/9 times 12. 5/9 of 12, or 12 groups of 5/9. 5 times 12 is 60. 9 times 1 is 9. Okay, improper fraction, 60 divided by 9. It's going to be 6. 54. 6/9. So that's 6 and 6/9. Now, I can reduce 6/9 into simplest form by finding the greatest common factor, and I'll go over that in just a second. The greatest common factor of 6 and 9 is going to be 3. So I divide 6 by 3. Remember, what you do to the top of a fraction, you have to do to the bottom. 6 divided by 3 is 2. And 9 divided by 3 is 3. So 6 and 2/3 is the simplest form. Okay. Now, over here I want to show you how to find the greatest common factor and how to reduce those fractions or put them in simplest form. If we have 15/20ths, remember factors are any numbers that you can multiply together or by another number to equal that number. So the factors of 15 are 1 and 15 and 3 and 5. Those are the only numbers that you can multiply to get 15. The factors of 20 are 1 and 20, 2 and 10, and 4 and 5. So the greatest common factor of 15 and 20 is going to be 5. It's the highest number or factor that they share. So if we divide both these numbers by 5 by the greatest common factor, 15 divided by 5 is 3, 20 divided by 5 is 4. So 15/20ths is equal to 3/4, just like when we did equivalent fractions. Okay, so that's the simplest form of 15/20ths. All right, so let's look at number 1. Now we have 3 times 2/5. 2/5 of 3, or 3 groups of 2/5. Put it over top of 1. 3 times 2 is 6. 1 times 5 is 5. That's 6/5. So we had 3, or 2, times 3 over 5, 6/5. And 6/5 is equal to 1 and 1/5, because 6 divided by 5 is 1, with 1 remaining, and you put it over top of your denominator. So 1 and 1/5. Okay, now the rest of the assignment here is to do page 435, numbers 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12, the even numbers. Then you need to do page 436. There's one problem, number 14. Page 437, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. And page 438, there are 6 problems on the end of the lesson check and review. So that's a total of 18 problems total for lesson 7.3. Don't forget to send me your pictures or videos of your Trash to Treasures projects, and send me a picture for our class project of you doing something at home during the quarantine. It's something that we're putting together as a 5th grade, so please send me those. Send me a picture, and I'll pass that along. If you have any questions, let me know.